Okay, you got me, right? You see me. I'm walking around here. You can see me all the way back there. Right? All the way to the back of the room. I am one over here. Okay, so this is how to get good video on a mobile device. Now, the thing about this is pretty much the same as how you would use one of these, a digital video camera, like a full regular one, because it's the same kind of methodology. The first thing is, you're doing it wrong right now. You're holding your phone like this. Landscape. For shit's sake. Turn it landscape. Now, the thing is that when you're recording, even if you're doing something for like, heaven forbid, TikTok, most what everybody sees video in is in landscape view. All of our phones, all of our monitors, laptops, tablets, everything, televisions, all that stuff is portrayed in landscape view. Your eye, your human eyes, are designed to see in an oval like this. That's landscape. All of our cameras are designed basically the same way as your eyeballs are. They're round. They have a focal point. It's a preferred focal point. And as it's going, these cameras now on our phones are starting to get to the point where we're going to start seeing virtual reality and augmented reality. So 2 video cameras will play at the same time for stereoscopic vision, just like your eyes. So always record like this. Now some phones, they've started adding in like 2 of them next to each other at the top, which makes, I understand this is easier to hold and this is easier for you to read on, but it's not good for seeing. Like if you have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, we all do, right? I have several of those accounts and I know so many people who are using my accounts. But this is how they look at stuff. So you should record like that. Also, this gives you the right kind of holding aperture. Right? You're holding it correctly to hold one of these. Because the way that they're designed is that they have a screen and a body. So you're holding it in landscape there too. So that's step 1. Landscape that. Landscape. Hold it in landscape. And put the cap back. Okay. Number two. So this thing costs like $1,000. These are like 200. But still, you break it, you buy it. Right? Get 2 hands on it. Just get both your hands on it. I don't want to see anyone drop this. I certainly don't want to see anyone drop these. Right? I don't want you to have to deal with that. Because you're going to buy me a new one. That's how that will work. And of course, you know, if you're holding it, you're probably recording. If you drop it, I know exactly who dropped it. Right? Mind you, there's some leeway. Like, you know, it's not like you're going to be admonished and then kicked out of school. We'll just have to have you buy a new one, and that really slows things down. I only got 12. No, I only got 9. I didn't get the budget for the other 3. That's right. I only got 9. So, both hands on it. But how you use it, right? I see a lot of people doing this. You are a dynamic system. You are. You're a human being. You're a bunch of bones, which are made out of calcium, which is metal, that are discrete objects that are being held together with like rubber bands. And then on top of it, you're exercise science students. You all tend to be kind of fidgety. You all seem to have, like my kids have ADD, and you all seem to as well. That's not a bad thing, that's a superpower, understand that. I know a lot of my students actually take Adderall and things of that nature because it helps you focus. That's okay. That's fine. You're super creative. You're super physical. That's a superpower. It's awesome. It's difficult though, if you're holding a phone, you're gonna jiggle. So you wanna get your elbows in. You bring your elbows to your sides as best as possible when you're holding these things. Because then it keeps you from doing this. Keeps you from doing this. Right, you want to get them in. You want to turn, I'm sorry, I gotta write that down. You want to, elbows in. Those in, 2 hands. All right. Elbows in. Get those elbows in. Next, you really want to turn with your core. You don't want to turn the phone like a head, because then your footage comes out kind of bumpy and quickly shifts. It makes people watching it sick. You know this. Everyone in this room, myself included, have watched things online. And when someone's holding their phone like this, and they're running, and you're watching, you're like, I'm getting just car sick watching this. Oh, Lord. Yeah, don't do that to people. That's really awful. It sucks. It's painful. You know it's painful. You've experienced it. So, we want to hold that phone, both hands, sideways, to get the best kind of view, landscape view. Right? We want to get our hands on there. We don't want to occlude the camera. Okay, don't. Right, hold it in. We're going to turn with our core, because you're using long muscles, which gives you that nice, smooth action. All right, we want to use long muscles on that. So we want to turn with our core. You can hold it up here if you need to. It does make you a little more bouncy. I find that about here, so your elbows are kind of tucking your ribs on the sides. Seems to be good right here, like this. With these phones and these cameras, that tends to be the right way to do it. Nice turning with a core, right? So then you get that nice smooth effect. You better be recording me, because you're going to put this on YouTube, by the way. Okay, so let me write that down. Turn with core. Core. Big muscles, good. All right. Now the next thing is something that you can set on your phone, on your camera of your phone. If I can turn mine on and see it. I'm not sure if you can see it. They made it thinner. But you see I have the grid lines on, right? You want to turn those on, because you're going to want to try and keep your subjects in the center 75% of the screen. All right, so I have my little grid lines on. You should turn them on too. Right? Every single camera phone I have found since like 2003 has these little grid lines on. Right? They don't show up in the video. They're there for you to help. The purpose of them is so that you can try and keep whoever you're looking at in that middle square bit. This one's set with the 9 squares. There's also 16 squares. The more squares, better. The more grid lines, better. Because the center 75% of your view is the part that is the most in focus, just like your eyeballs. With your eyes, that center 75%, which is not squared off, it's, oval shaped, because your eyeballs are round. But that center 75% is the part that actually sees most accurately, right? At the edges, it starts to warp, and it gets that fisheye lens effect. Now, the software in our phones are getting better and better, taking out that warping effect, but it can never truly be removed just because of physics. The light's coming in at an oblique angle. That's how it's going to go. All right, so we got that. Holding out in your hands in landscape with your elbows in and your 2 hands, and you got to turn to the core, right? You got to turn on those grid lines and keep people in the center 75. I went through these cameras and I turned the grid lines on all of them as well, although they may have reset because it's been like a month since I charged them. Last semester ended. I haven't been back, so I might have to reset that. So if you find that off, that's a setting. Tell me, I'll show you how to turn it on. Center 75%. And then finally, if you can't get a tripod, you're going to have to become the tripod, right? Because again, we're dynamic creatures. I'm being super animated right now, although I always talk with my hands because I'm Italian, right? But that's just the thing. Like, as a human, you cannot help but move. You're not meant to stand still. So we move a lot, and we are tracking somebody who's moving, right? Chances are you're playing with your dog and you're recording your cat or your friends, or just something crazy that you notice someplace. That's why you pulled out your phone and started recording it, right? Those things are dynamic. You would record something that doesn't move. You take a photograph of it. But still, landscape, bullet, and snap, probably still better. But still, we need to be able to stabilize our camera. So we want to become the tripod. We want to become the thing that does it. So, there's a couple of ways of doing this. One, get up against the wall. Quick, get to the walls. No, really, get to the wall, do it. There's walls here and there, everywhere, get to the wall. Now get to right here, man. Right? Get up on these walls. I can even get up against the door like this. That works. Flat, hard. Put some weight into it. Put your foot back. 1 foot up against the door or wall. 1 foot out. Lean against it. Take your body weight out of the equation. You can still turn to your core and kind of rock against the wall. Right? That's going to help you a lot. It's going to make your photos and your videos so much more stable. You want to take your body weight out of consideration. Another thing you can do is same sort of thing. If you can get to a doorway, they work great. You get a doorway, same thing. You put 1 foot next to it, put your shoulder into it, get the other foot out. Right? Like really, it's super stable. You can also do this at a desk. Quick, back to your desk. Don't stop recording. Don't stop believing either. Right? This is very useful. I've always been like a big fan. As soon as cell phones could take video, I was like, this is the way you should be taking notes in class. Right? Because you get direct playback. So turn your desk into a tripod. You sit there, get your elbows on that desk. Put your body into the, I'm going to go like this, a little bit lower, right? Put your body weight into the desk, put your elbows into the desk, just take your body out of consideration. Take it out. That way, this is so stable, and it's not bouncing. This is about as stable as you can get it to be. This really helps. This is the way that you get those. So, become the tripod. Become the tripod. Right. There's 2 considerations that we have as well. 2 last ones that you will see more of when we're actually using digital cameras. That's light and sound. Right? So, with light, this is the best kind of light right here. Diffuse. Right? There's no hard shadows because I have these lights on. There's nothing really like penetrating and blasting any direction. That one. There we go. That's it. Okay, right? That's great. But then sometimes you run into this situation. This is terrible. Right? Directional light with strong shadows. Make it bigger. Make it bigger. Right? This is awful. And of course, the biggest perpetrator of this, it's the sun. If you're outside and you're using your phone, this is going to really screw things up. You don't want to be taking video into the sun. It will totally destroy anything you're looking at. It'll absolutely wash out the video and be worthless. You want to be in the situation you're in right now. If you have to. The sun is behind you. It's coming this way at your subjects. That means you need to move around to make that happen sometimes. If you can get diffuse light, that's what you want. This is why if you really pay attention in movies, television shows, with real people, with actors, whenever they do an outside scene, you'll often notice that they choose a cloudy day because then they don't have any strong sun effects. Unless they want to wash it out, they just don't go outside. They do stuff on a soundscape. And of course, the final one is sound. Sound. I'm speaking loudly. I'm enunciating through a mask as much as I can. Right? But sound can really destroy stuff. And your phone is kind of designed to hear you more than anything else. I breathe loudly because I'm fat and I have asthma, and that tends to show up on any video that I take. I have kids, so I got a lot of videos. In fact, that phone is mostly full of videos of my kids. Because it's going to happen, right? But if you're using a video device, you are going to have to be aware of the fact that there's a microphone recording sound. Now these ones, digital video cameras, the microphone sort of points face outwards, the same direction as the lens. But on your phone, it's just the general microphone, and it's going to get sound from everywhere. I do find this tends to help, that whole putting this there, because if you put it here, you're not as close to your mouth. So you have to be careful about sound in that situation. Outside, of course, you can't really do too much about it. Right, so that's our 5 steps to getting good video. And cut.